I am the husband of the Tan Hone Group's chairwoman, but I willingly stayed behind as just a regular, everyday employee. I refused every single shortcut, choosing to climb up entirely through my own hard work. But then my wife actually takes my hard-earned promotion and hands it straight over to her absolute dream guy, throwing a massive sum of money into my account right after as some kind of twisted compensation. I just calmly accept that cash, feeling absolutely zero romance left in my heart, looking at her strictly as a highly qualified investor from now on. Up in the executive boardroom on the top floor of the Tan Hone Group, this exact meeting will directly decide who gets the general manager spot for the entire Hoabak region. I have drained every ounce of my energy and poured my whole soul into getting this exact role. Today is finally the day we get the ultimate results. The department director speaks up across the room, announcing that the final choice will be decided by a direct vote from the core management team. The only competitors left are me and one other candidate. The reason is simple: our performance scores are perfectly tied right at the very top of the board. My gaze just slowly sweeps across the entire meeting table. Her best friend Ang Nuit is busy adjusting this incredibly fancy watch on her wrist, shooting a highly encouraging look right over at BCH-THN. Right beside her sits Tieng Elm, giving a slight nod, a faint smirk barely playing on her lips. These women are my wife's closest friends, but they are also the very partners I have worked alongside for years at this company. Honestly, my initial score was slightly higher than BCH-THN, but through their shady little manipulations and throwing him all sorts of random bonus categories, they managed to force his track record right up to match perfectly with mine. The official voting begins. 1 vote, 2 votes. The entire situation turns into a tense tug of war, exactly like I predicted it would. The atmosphere inside this room gets heavier by the second. I can hear my own heart pounding non-stop, knowing the absolute final decision now lands right with my wife, the chairwoman of the Tan Hone Group. Everyone stares straight at her eyes, carrying this totally silent, guaranteed assumption. Husband and wife standing united. She has zero reason not to support me here. I also look right at her, forcing out a perfectly polite smile, but my hands, hidden under the table, are clenched so hard my knuckles are turning pure white. You feel that, right? Her gaze sweeps right past me, stopping entirely on BCH-THN, whose face has gone totally pale from the pressure. Her eyebrows pull together just a bit, and she speaks using this incredibly gentle tone I have literally never heard from her before. Relax now, do not be so stressed out. Time just completely freezes at this exact second. The smile freezes right on my face, and my blood runs completely icy cold. Right after that soft little reassuring comment, she finally looks at me, her voice ringing out completely firm. I vote for BCH-THN. A bright spark of absolute joy instantly flashes across BCH-THN's eyes. Ang Nuit and Tieng Elm just let out these knowing smiles, like they expected this. As for my wife of so many years, she doesn't even bother tossing me a single apologetic glance. At that exact second, I completely realize I have lost. Not losing in performance, not losing in actual ability, but losing entirely, because the scale in her heart had tipped towards someone else a long time ago. Later that night, I head back to our luxury penthouse villa right in the center of the city. Every single emotion I suppressed all afternoon just explodes the second that front door clicks shut. I do not scream or go crazy. I just quietly walk into the dressing room and start packing up my luggage, one piece at a time. She walks right in, gently hugging me from behind, her voice carrying this slight hint of exhaustion and guilt. Min Tret, do not be like this. It is really just one position. You really do not have to. Wait, is it really just one simple position? I immediately break free from her arms, staring back at her like she is a complete stranger. This was the prize I traded countless sleepless nights for, downing endless cups of bitter coffee, sacrificing every single day off just to finally secure. Are you seriously wiping away all my hard work with one casual sentence? I did not mean it like that. She frowns, her tone instantly turning quite cold. It is just because BCH-THN has a pretty specific situation, making this opportunity much more crucial for him. A specific situation. I actually laugh out of pure anger. Just because he has a slightly rough background and a fragile ego, he needs this job to prove himself more than me? What kind of absolutely ridiculous logic is that? Min Trit, stop being so completely unreasonable about this. Her patience is clearly hitting its absolute limit. I take a really deep breath, totally ready to argue back, when my phone suddenly dings. It is a direct bank transfer notification. She literally just transferred me a massive 7-figure sum of money. Right there in the memo section, it just says one cold word: compensation. But get this, I just stare right at that word, remembering how for years, just to keep up some laughable sense of equality in our marriage, I constantly refused every single major financial handout she ever offered. I literally worked myself to the bone just so nobody could ever say Min Trick climbed the ladder by riding his wife's coattails. But somehow, every bit of my stubborn persistence has now just become one giant, pathetic joke to the world. I tilt my head up to look at her, and she is giving me this deeply reassuring stare, like she has already done her absolute moral best. I do not hesitate for even a second, clicking accept right away. That massive fortune instantly drops right into my bank account, and this crazy, unprecedented wave of relief completely washes over my mind. LCVNVI just freezes up, clearly completely shocked by how fast and decisive I am. I steady my breathing, flashing one more polite smile right back at LCVNVI. Hey, honey, since I totally failed this promotion, my reputation at the company is going to completely tank, and the coworkers will definitely start gossiping behind my back. Shouldn't all this invisible damage get some proper compensation? I want exactly 9 times this amount. What followed was just a heavy, endless silence on the line. I can perfectly picture the absolute shock written all over her face right now. A few minutes later, my phone starts buzzing like crazy. Massive chunks of cash, hitting the exact total I demanded, get wired straight into my bank account. You would feel it too. Staring at that long string of zeros glowing on screen, I feel more satisfied than ever before. Taking a real deep breath, I quickly adjust my feelings before facing her again. When I finally speak, my voice sounds completely choked up. I tell her I am sorry for losing my temper, but the company gossip today felt unbearable. With everyone whispering behind my back, I just did not know what to do anymore. The effect hits instantly, and Luke Venvai's guilt gets completely triggered right on the spot. Almost immediately, she wires over yet another massive chunk of cash to me. Her soft voice echoes in my ear, telling me to stop overthinking and just buy something nice. I obediently reply, "Thank you, honey." But that devoted wife from the past? She is definitely not my pillar of support anymore. From this moment on, she holds exactly 2 values in my life: a top-tier investor and a literal walking ATM machine. That evening, I sit down for a fancy dinner at a 3-star Michelin restaurant. Right beside me, a tablet is glowing, logged directly into the company's anonymous internal forum page. The trending post title, highlighted in bright red on the main homepage, looks especially glaring. Right now, Chairwoman throws it all away for her lover. One single vote deciding the empire, while Director 2's promotion dreams get shattered on the spot. I tap on the post. The writer was clearly right there inside the meeting room, vividly breaking down every single juicy detail of that vote. Luke Venvai's quote telling him to relax and not be tense is bolded in bright red, looking incredibly suspicious and like a total eyesore. The comment section is already hundreds of floors deep with wild gossip. People are saying, Bak Tin Neen was not a simple guy. He ousted director to after just 1 year of work. Nobody actually believes he pulled that off without a powerful backer. Another comment fires back, telling them to stop being bitter. Bak Tin Neen's professional skills are genuinely strong, and honestly, his tragic background is pretty pitiful. A fierce boss like Director Luke definitely prefers that exact type. Then someone asks, am I the only one who actually feels bad for Director 2? He fought his way up from the very bottom, standing by Director Luke to conquer this entire empire, just to end up like this? Why even pity him? Someone claims their finance friend saw Min Cheat get a sky-high payout from Director Luke. They say those zeros were literally impossible to count up. This is not him falling out of favor. He is clearly just taking the cash to step aside. A total win for everyone, which means Bak Tin Neen is true love, and Min Cheat was just a business arrangement. This rich corporate drama is honestly way too entertaining. I emotionlessly scroll the screen. You just have to hear this flashback. Right after college, Luke Venvai and I squeezed into a tiny rented apartment, carrying massive dreams of completely changing the world by starting up our own little design office. We would stay up all night together, endlessly writing business plans. Whenever we felt super exhausted, we simply leaned on each other, splitting the absolute last convenience store rice ball while happily dreaming about eventually buying the brightest office building in this entire city. After every single successful project, we used to excitedly hug each other in the dark streets. Later on, when her family business hit a massive crisis, she accepted her fate and took over, and I wholeheartedly followed right beside her to help out. Under her direct control, the Tan Hone group literally came back from the dead, growing stronger every single day. She originally wanted to instantly place me into the core management board to be her right-hand man, but I completely refused her offer. Just to prove that I, to Min Cheat, was not just some dependent loser climbing the social ladder by marrying Luke Van Vi, I stubbornly insisted on starting my own career path, straight from a completely normal entry-level position inside the absolute toughest sales department at Tan Hone. I used to relentlessly chase down the absolute most difficult clients, handle the most tedious minor reports, and miraculously secure those seemingly impossible projects. I was practically eating and sleeping at the company. Through my own brilliant achievements, I climbed up to the high position I hold today. She repeatedly offered to give me direct company shares or transfer me to a much easier strategy department, but I firmly rejected her every single time she brought it up. I once foolishly told her that I wanted our connection to stay as true lovers and peer teammates. Definitely not some weird dynamic between a corporate boss and a lowly subordinate. I genuinely hoped all my hard-earned achievements would only carry the name to Min Cheat, rather than that heavy, completely vain title of simply being Director Luke's lucky husband. All of those exhausting years of struggling together, along with the strict principles I always proudly stood by, made me completely confident that our deep romantic bond was incredibly solid and absolutely impossible to break. And yet, right now, just for another man, and out of some ridiculous sense of pity, she easily threw away all my intense effort and endless persistence like it was nothing. I scoop up a spoonful of sweet dessert, letting that sugary flavor melt on my tongue. This premium dessert honestly tastes amazing. Having endless cash really is the best feeling. I calmly close the gossip webpage, letting my glowing tablet screen fade to completely dark. This whole corporate voting storm was definitely not the actual starting point of our relationship. Cracking apart, it was honestly just the final, devastating straw that completely broke the camel's back. The real betrayal had already been happening silently for ages. Exactly 1 year ago, Bak Tin Nin joined the corporate group as a high-level potential management trainee. And yeah, he really is incredibly excellent. The guy graduated from a super prestigious school, flaunts a genuinely brilliant resume, and caught up to the professional workflow extremely fast. But what really grabs everyone's attention is a vibe completely different from mine. This fragile, tough, and pretty cold aura he carries after surviving so much hardship. Before long, all sorts of wild rumors about his background start spreading like wildfire, right? Through the entire company. Orphaned at a young age, raised single-handedly by a hardworking grandmother, collecting scraps. He got all his current success today purely through an incredibly unbreakable willpower. This handsome, super talented, yet tragic underdog image totally hits the exact weak spot of LC. Vien Vi and her entire friend group, Eng Nuit and Tieng Y Elm, almost immediately take him under their wing, calling themselves his older sisters, supporting him everywhere at work, and caring for him deeply in real life. Me and LC Vien Vi, Eng Nuit, and Tieng Y Elm, we used to share absolutely everything with each other since our early startup days. But ever since BCH Ni and suddenly showed up, we slowly ran out of things to talk about. The very first direct clash happens half a year ago during a really major bidding event for a new energy project. The plan my team and I polished so carefully ends up having a massive conflict in direction with the proposal led by BCH Ni and during the project review meeting, a proposal clearly takes the upper hand, mostly thanks to highly authentic data and keeping all the risks totally under control. BCH Ni and doesn't even directly refute the data. He just gets teary-eyed, stands straight up, and says, Director T's plan is incredibly thorough. Every single detail is carefully considered. I deeply admire it. It's just that some seniors are already quite used to being prioritized by the group with absolutely all resources. They probably do not understand how much heavy pressure new employees like us, who can only fumble around from absolute zero, actually have to bear to achieve any creative breakthroughs. My proposal might be a little risky, but it truly represents the real direction of the future. These highly loaded words feel exactly like a bucket of dirty water splashed right onto me. It is acting as if absolutely everything I have today is not from my own hard effort, but just from enjoying that so-called resource prioritization. Before I can even get a word out, Eng Nuit totally cuts in to comfort him. Ni N, please do not say that, we all clearly see your hard effort. Tieng Y Elm also chimes in almost immediately. Exactly. New people having totally fresh ideas is a good thing. You cannot always look at people with those old eyes. VN Vi. I honestly think THN's plan is very bold. Totally worth a try. I slowly shift my eyes towards LCVN Vi. She is the group's president, and also my own wife. I desperately, truly need her support right now. She stays pretty silent for a long time, but the words she finally says feel just like a sharp knife stabbing right into my heart. Min Trit, your plan is definitely safe enough, but sometimes TNHON really needs a little adventurous spirit. I will consider this matter a bit more. That is the very first time I get completely isolated in public by the three of them teaming up. Now wait for it, because real despair hits the night before the promotion report. LCVN Vi says she will be coming home late. I plan to help clean up her study, and accidentally spot her unlocked computer. A WeChat message suddenly pops right up on her bright screen. I have already spoken to the review board. The final round will definitely use a voting system. THNN, perform well this time around. Please do not disappoint us. My head just buzzes with a loud ring, instantly going completely and utterly blank. That exact message only shows for 2 quick seconds before being instantly recalled. My hand holding the mouse turns absolutely bone-chillingly cold. It turns out this so-called fair competition has been a carefully crafted trap made just for BCH. THNN right from the very start. The review board, the voting system. Absolutely. All these arrangements are just the smooth path she paved right for him. And as for me, her own husband, the loyal veteran who put in so much sweat and hard work for the company, from start to finish, I am just a blindfolded fool. A mere background prop, perfectly used to highlight BCH and supposedly winning by real skill. The heavy anger and extreme pain of being so deeply betrayed instantly drown me. But somehow I still hold onto a tiny sliver of illusion about her. You probably guess where this goes. I keep hoping by voting day she will finally wake up to see who is actually most suitable for the North China General Manager role. But harsh reality just slaps me right in the face, completely waking me up from this dream. I finally realize that this entire place absolutely belongs to LCVN Vi. Over at TNHON, she is the one and only rule. Ever since utterly failing that major promotion, and then tearfully accepting that huge, massive compensation package, my entire personality as a person has completely and totally changed. I am no longer that sharp director T who always fights for what is right at work, but I switched to being an obedient, thoughtful husband, even acting somewhat dependent on my wife. During a big family dinner at the old LC house, I actively offer to go right alongside LCVN Vi. While changing my clothes right before heading out, I casually complained to her. Sigh, after failing that big promotion, the way my subordinates look at me has totally changed. I just have absolutely zero confidence doing anything now. A few days ago, I actually saw a pretty rare limited edition Patek Philippe watch in a magazine. If I could wear it to meet clients, it would definitely boost my aura quite a bit. LCVN Vi's hands pausing on her earrings just freeze, as she looks at me totally surprised. This is honestly the very first time I actively asked for something so incredibly valuable from her. That quick surprise then rapidly turns into a very thick, heavy guilt. She almost immediately grabs her phone to call her assistant, using a firm tone, leaving no room for negotiation. Go buy this year's limited edition Patek Philippe Celestial watch right now. Bring it to the house immediately. Half an hour later, the watch arrives. That delicate tourbillon mechanism sparkles under the lights, absolutely blinding anyone who looks at it. I slip it on carefully, wrapping my arms around LCVN Vi's waist from behind, pressing my face against her slender back. I make my voice sound impossibly sweet and dependent. You're always the best to me, my lovely wife. I can actually feel her body stiffen up for a split second before she finally forces herself to relax. She turns around to look at me, a flash of complicated emotions hiding deep in her eyes. At the banquet, LCVN Vi's father stands before all the relatives, endlessly praising BCH with a heavy hidden meaning. This kid right here. The more I look at him, the more I like him. Outstanding ability and such a calm personality. Word has it that during that incredibly tricky merger, his timely warning about the risks was the only thing that saved VN Vi from losing tens of millions. VN Vi really needs an assistant who's the sensible and capable by her side. Instantly, every single pair of eyes in the room darts straight toward me. If this were the old me, I'd have clapped back without a second thought. But today, I just keep my head down. I quietly cut my steak, a perfectly well-behaved smile resting right on my lips. Watch how this plays out. My total silence and submission completely ruin his trap. All those sarcastic remarks the old man prepared have nowhere to land, which honestly just makes him look like a massive bully. Inside the Rolls-Royce heading home, the atmosphere feels unbelievably suffocating. LCVNY grabs my hand, furrowing her brow slightly. Dad spoke like that tonight, so why didn't you say a single word back? I just smile at her. Dad's only doing what is best for the group. Director BCH really is insanely talented. That's just the truth. If I argued back right there, it would only make things incredibly awkward for both Dad and THN. We're all family, there's no need to fight over a few words. She stays completely silent. The light inside the car is super dim. I can barely see her expression, but I can definitely feel her hand gripping mine, squeezing just a little bit tighter. After a long moment, she buries her head into my chest, her voice dropping low. Min Trit, you were never like this before, and I don't like this current you. So please don't do this again. I just obediently answer her. Sure thing, honey. LCVNY freezes for a second, then hugs me even tighter. From that day on, the wild rumors about her and BCHTHN spreading through the company only get worse. Trashy tabloids even managed to snap photos of her taking BCHTHN back to his apartment late at night, slapping on these absolutely shocking headlines. Female chairman of TNHON gets a new lover, tossing 10 years of romance away. My secretary conveniently leaves the magazine right on my desk. I just give it a quick glance and casually walk away. I don't care about her whereabouts anymore, and I stop asking about all the special care she keeps showering on BCHTHN. Instead, my shopping cart and massive wishlist take over. Whenever I feel down because my colleagues are isolating me, I make a quick phone call, letting my voice sound super pathetic. By the very next day, a top-tier custom-tailored suit gets delivered straight into my hands. VNY, the anniversary of the day we met is coming up soon, right? I casually flip the calendar and just pick a totally random date. She completely blanks out, clearly having no memory of it, but guiltily agrees anyway. And just like that, I score myself a globally limited edition Lamborghini supercar. I have this one buddy doing overseas asset allocation, and he tells me right now's an incredibly good time to invest. But I just don't have enough cash on hand. Putting on a pretty conflicted face, I hesitate. A few hours later, a massive sum of money transfers directly into my newly opened offshore Swiss bank account. There is a charity gala next week filled with high society elites, and I can't embarrass you, right? So the absolute best craftsmen at Jackna are forced to work overnight, custom making several high-end formal suits just for me to wear in all kinds of different settings. My dressing room and safe are getting packed full at a genuinely terrifying speed. You see his game plan? Every time I receive these crazy expensive gifts, I show absolute amazement and pretend to be deeply attached to LCVNY. Right now, she agrees to pretty much every single demand I make. It feels like she wants to use this incredibly direct method to make up for all her betrayal. But that thick confusion and exhaustion in her eyes keeps getting heavier and heavier every single day. Besides buying and giving, the communication between us has dropped down to absolutely nothing. Two people who once stayed up all night long talking about work and ideals now share the same bed, with nothing but dead silence between us. Right at this exact moment, the company sends down a notice for the annual coastal team building trip. The destination is a private island in the South Pacific, famous for its gorgeous sunsets. I remember it perfectly. During a lunch party, BCHTHN once whispered to Eng Nuit and Tng Elm that his biggest dream was visiting that South Pacific island just to see the sunset. Word on the street is it looks like paradise. And now, LCVNY has actually made that dream come true for him. The scenery on this private island really is as beautiful as heaven itself, but I'm in no mood to enjoy it. Down on the beach, BCHTHN rocks tight swim trunks, showing off a genuinely lean but toned body, laughing and riding jet skis with Eng Nuit and Tng Elm. Even from a distance, you can easily hear his clear, happy laughter echoing around. He turns toward LCVNY sitting under a beach umbrella on the shore, waving his arm wildly, yelling out VNY, "The water feels amazing, come down and play." He wears these really comfortable linen pants and a shirt, stepping up from right behind to gently grab LCVNY's arm. When she turns to look at him, he puts on this totally weak expression, keeping his voice super soft. VNY, I'm feeling a bit dizzy, probably from the sun. Could Could you walk with me to that bar over there and grab a little something to drink? LCVN Vi looks at BCH, then back at him, finally choosing the sick guy right next to her. She supports his weight, her voice sounding full of genuine worry. What is wrong? Are you getting heatstroke? Probably. He leans quite weakly against her side. Right away, that smile on BCH's face turns completely stiff and incredibly forced. LCVN Vi actually seems to feel quite reassured by his rare initiative to finally get close. She specifically goes ahead and orders him his absolute favorite non-alcoholic cocktail, a special little drink known as Summer Lover. She even thoughtfully reminds the bartender to use less ice. She makes casual small talk with him, asking if work has been too tiring lately, or if his brand new car handles well. He answers every single question quite obediently, but he can clearly see it happening. Her eyes keep unconsciously drifting over toward those three people playing around in the ocean. He asks softly, VN Vi, how long has it been since we had some private time together like this? She just gives a half-hearted hum, her eyes still locked on the distance. Obviously, not a single word actually reached her ears. He just smiles, not saying another word. Now watch this moment right here. This was his very last attempt to test the waters, and the result is brutally clear. She stays right beside him, but her heart? It already flew off towards someone else's happy, cheerful laughter a long time ago. He looks down at the brightly colored Summer Lover glass in his hand, feeling absolutely nothing but a deep, lingering sadness. Their summer ended a really long time ago. As night finally falls, a warm bonfire gets lit up right there on the island. The lively seaside barbecue party officially begins for the night. Nuit, and Elm complain that the party is too loud, suggesting they take a yacht out to sea. LCVN Vi originally plans to join them, but he pulls her back. I haven't recovered from my cold, I cannot handle the ocean breeze. He coughs softly a few times. Under the warm firelight, his face looks even more pale than before. Could you just stay here with me? She looks at his noticeably weak state, then over at BCH's incredibly hopeful face, and finally chooses to stay behind. A quick flash of disappointment crosses BCH's face, but he is quickly surrounded by Nuit and Elm, laughing as they step onto the yacht. But even though LCVN Vi stays physically, her mind is completely elsewhere. She constantly scrolls through her phone, almost like she is waiting for some specific message. 1 whole hour passes. 2 hours go by. The yacht still hasn't returned, and the storm is getting worse. But you know something bad is coming, right? Suddenly, LCVN Vi's phone starts ringing frantically. She answers the call almost instantly, and her entire expression completely drops the second she hears the message. It is the captain's extremely anxious voice on the other end. President LC, things look bad. We hit a sudden storm on our way back. All our communication and navigation systems are totally busted. We are stranded at sea right now, with absolutely no idea where our exact location is. What? LCVN Vi jumps up so incredibly hard, she completely knocks over a wine glass on the table. The dark red liquid spills all over his light-colored linen pants. But she only shoots him a very quick glance, her words firing out as fast as a machine gun. Min Tret, I am sorry, THN's group is in trouble. I have to go check on them right now. Without even waiting for him to react, she turns around and sprints straight toward the dock. He slowly uses a tissue to wipe the wine stain off his clothes, then makes his way toward the dock too. The entire place is already spiraling into absolute, total chaos. The security team and resort staff are frantically working to urgently deploy the rescue boats. He spots a back turned with absolute, unwavering resolve, ignoring absolutely everyone trying to hold her back. LCVN Vi personally pilots the fastest jet ski available. Without a single moment of hesitation, she charges straight into the increasingly fierce, massive waves, completely disappearing into the endless dark night. Soon enough, a brand new update comes in from the onshore command center. The weather is just far too severe. The communication signal on LCVN Vi's vessel has also been totally cut off. She has officially lost contact. The atmosphere inside the command center instantly spikes to absolute maximum tension. He is already running a mild fever from his heavy cold, and getting hit by the ocean wind makes his head pound fiercely, leaving his entire body shivering. Hearing that LCVN Vi is also missing, his face drains of all its color. A medic quickly steps over, trying to help him go rest. Mr. T, your face looks absolutely awful. The wind is way too strong here. You really should go rest first. He gently pushes the guy's hand away. Right at that exact moment, another rescue boat much larger and way more professional, is fully prepped and ready, about to depart for the search. He confidently strides forward, grabbing a life jacket and quickly throwing it on, under everyone's completely shocked gazes. He steps right onto the rescue boat with absolute determination. Back during his college days, he actually trained in a maritime club. He operated in these exact waters all the time, so he deeply understands the local ocean currents and hidden reefs here. The rescue boat tosses heavily in the pitch black, raging sea like a completely helpless fallen leaf, struggling through the intense search. Heavy waves of dizziness hit him constantly, but he still braces himself. Relying purely on memories from years ago, he points the captain toward a hidden reef, the absolute most likely spot they got trapped. Reality proves that he made the exact right bet. 2 whole hours later, they finally find the overturned yacht right inside that hidden reef area, along with the completely stalled jet ski bobbing in the rough ocean waves, just a short distance away. Ang Nuit, Tiang Y Elm, and Bchth N are all wearing life jackets, clinging to the float with absolute panic on their faces. But LCVN Vi, nowhere to be found. Ang Nuit spots us and immediately screams out, "LCVN Vi is gone." She jumped in to swim toward us, but caught a nasty leg cramp right behind that hidden reef. Bchth N is crying too, pointing frantically just a short distance away. The rescue boat violently shifts its course. Searchlights sweep across the dark ocean, finally catching LCVN Vi thrashing wildly in the heavy waves. She has swallowed way too much water, her consciousness fading fast. The ocean conditions are an absolute nightmare right now. The boat cannot get any closer to the reef without risking a crash. I drop my voice. "Let me go." Ignoring the crew shouting and trying to hold me back, I grab a life jacket without a second thought and throw myself right into the freezing, bone-chilling ocean. Already weak from a high fever, the heavy impact against the waves nearly knocks me completely unconscious the second I hit the water. I bite down hard on my tongue, using that sharp pain to stay awake. I swim desperately toward her fading silhouette. "LCVN Vi, please wake up. Now watch this sheer willpower." I grab her, tying the rescue rope tight around her waist. The exact moment they haul her onto the boat, my strength gives out. My vision goes pitch black, sinking into a deep coma. When I finally wake up again, the strong smell of harsh disinfectants floods my nose. I am lying on a hospital bed at the resort medical center, hooked up to an for drip. An unfamiliar nurse is standing right by my side. I ask her in a really rough, scratchy voice, "How long have I been asleep? Mr. T, you're awake? You have been out cold for a full day and night." I glance around. It is just the two of us here, so I calmly ask, "Where is LCVN Vi?" The nurse answers carefully, her voice carrying a little bit of genuine sympathy. "Boss LC woke up half a day before you and watched over you briefly, but Mr. BCH next door was having a pretty severe panic attack. He completely broke down, crying and begging to see Boss LC, so she just went over there to calm him down. She should return soon." I close my eyes, chuckling softly. Excellent. Just another perfect opportunity to cash in on this whole situation. Not long after, LCVN Vi walks back in, looking absolutely exhausted and guilty, her eyes red. Entering the room, she grips my hand tight, voice totally hoarse. "Min Trit, I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for saving me." I weakly shake my head, using my freezing hand to gently squeeze hers back. I speak in an incredibly tender tone. "Do not say that. We are husband and wife. As long as you are safe, this tiny bit of suffering means absolutely nothing to me." Those exact words strike the softest, most vulnerable spot deep inside her heart. A huge wave of emotion and hope instantly floods her eyes, as if she finally sees a real chance for us to reconcile and go back to normal. But the very next second, fully playing the terrified survivor, desperately clinging to her, I speak up. "However, my dear wife, I was honestly scared out of my mind this time. Lying here like this, I just do not feel safe at all. It would be so nice if I had a place that belonged entirely to me. A while back, I had my eye on some overseas real estate, a beautiful wine estate in Country A, and an island resort hotel over in Country S. The paperwork is super complicated. Could you please handle it all for me, and just transfer them directly into my name? Consider it a little comfort gift for my nerves, okay?" You can guess what happens next. The touching emotion in LCVN Vi's eyes instantly freezes over. All color drains from her face, leaving behind nothing but pure shock and absolute disbelief. "Min Tret, please do not act like this. Why do we have to use material things to measure our bond? Do you know that when you rescued me down in that water, I finally, blinking my fever-blurred eyes, I play the totally innocent victim and cut her off right there. I stubbornly repeat my demand, but I really want them. Only those things will actually make me feel secure. You will take care of this for me, right, honey? Calling her honey sounds incredibly sweet and soft, yet it acts like a gentle knife, stabbing precisely into her heart. The bright hope inside LCVN Vi's eyes just completely dies out. She quietly lets go of my hand, leaving the hospital room without saying a single word. Her fading silhouette looks completely shattered. The next time LCVN Vi appears in the ward, it is already day 2. She clearly stayed up all night. Dark circles under her eyes, her expression unbearably haggard. She still wants to try one last desperate struggle. Min Trit, my parents heard about the ocean incident. They were terrified, but also incredibly grateful to you. They want you to move permanently back into the old family estate once you recover. They even said the family trust could be restructured, giving you a chunk of shares so you can get deeply involved in the corporate decisions. This is the absolute highest level of acceptance and commitment she can possibly offer her husband. I just flash a calm smile, completely cutting her off right then and there. Honey, I'm really tired right now. I do not want to discuss complicated shares or business strategies. I stare directly into her eyes. I only want the wine estate in Country A and the island resort in Country S. You will get that done for me, right? LCVN Vi stares at me, her face pale as a sheet. After a long pause, she weakly closes her eyes. When they open again, only dead ashes remain. Fine. 1 week later, I am discharged and returned to the city. My overseas lawyer calls up to inform me that all the title deeds for those specific properties are completely finalized, and they have been safely locked away inside my personal safe at the Swiss bank. I hang up the phone, calmly taking inventory of every single piece of compensation I have managed to secure recently. Cash, jewelry, supercars, and massive real estate, all adding up piece by piece. It is an astronomical number, easily enough for him to live multiple lifetimes without ever worrying about money again. As for Luc Van Vi, she just falls into a really long silence and endless self-doubt. She stops coming home entirely, hiding out at the company or hanging around with her close friends all day long. Meanwhile, he calmly starts preparing every single final step for their divorce procedures. One by one, right at this exact moment, a shocking piece of news explodes across the business world. That struggling guy named Bak Ti-nin. It genuinely turns out he is the only legitimate outside bloodline of the immensely powerful Bak family, literal absolute giant dominating the entire northern energy industry today. The Bak family patriarch personally steps up to publicly claim his grandson, and the whole welcoming scene is just incredibly spectacular. He even loudly announces to the massive crowd that a very core portion of the mighty Bak group's assets will gradually be handed over completely for this newly found grandson to manage and control. A total nobody transforming into a phoenix overnight. This wild news doesn't make Tim Min flinch at all, but it becomes the exact trigger, making the Luke patriarch finally decide. Very soon after that, he actually gets a phone call from the old patriarch of the Luke family, setting up a direct private meeting right at his highly secret villa, located halfway up the mountain. Skipping all the polite small talk entirely, the moment Tim Min sits down, the old man shoves a divorce agreement and a blank check right across the table toward him. Take this 300 million cash, and stay completely away from Van Vi. The Luke patriarch's tone is full of both strict authority and heavy contempt. You already know Ti-nin's true background by now. He is the one and only absolute legitimate heir to the entire Bak family. Our Luke family and the Bak family are going to cooperate deeply. He is also absolutely guaranteed to become the future perfect son-in-law for our Luke family. You are a smart guy, so you should know exactly what to choose. He pauses for just a second, then adds, sign this agreement right now. Whatever things you took from Van Vi before, we will not look into them at all. Let us just happily part ways right here and now. Tim Min slowly picks up the divorce agreement. The asset division terms are written out perfectly clear. Every single piece of property currently under his name completely belongs to him alone. The Luke family won't pursue anything else. He calmly skims through it, double checks the massive check, then looks up and asks, is this amount after taxes? Now get a load of this. A heavy, suppressed glare flashes deep in the old man's eyes. He probably never expected Tim Min to be this ridiculously calm, not even trying to bargain once. He just nods. Yes, after taxes. Without a single moment of hesitation, He firmly signs his name to Min right at the bottom of the divorce agreement, slides the entire folder back, stands up, and flashes a truly perfect smile, wishing the Luke and Bach families a highly successful and powerful alliance. May you achieve your desires. Saying that, he turns and leaves. His footsteps feel incredibly light. Everything is completely ready, just missing one final breeze. And this final crucial breeze is exactly Luke Van Vie's signature on that paper. He actively invites her out to the small Western restaurant where they actually had their very first college date. The whole place has been completely renovated, times have changed, but their old original seating spot remains exactly the same. He wears the exact same white shirt she gifted him for his birthday last year. His hair is styled quite carefully, his smile completely radiant, acting exactly as if all those unhappy things had never even happened. When Luke Van Vie finally arrives and sees him, her eyes completely overflow with unhidden shock and a newly kindled spark of warm hope. She honestly thinks this is a crystal clear signal that he has finally changed his mind and wants her back. That night she drinks a whole lot of wine, endlessly talking about all the bright future plans for the two of them. She swears she will draw a strict line with Bak Ti Nin, that she will transfer Duong Nuyat and Tong Wai Lam entirely out of their core positions, promising she will never let him suffer any more grievances ever again. The whole time, he just smiles and listens, occasionally pouring her another glass of wine. Eventually, he brings her completely blackout drunk body all the way back to the villa, gently laying her right down on the sofa. He pulls the divorce agreement right out of his bag, slips a pen into her hand, leans in close, and whispers softly into her ear, "Be a good girl, Van Vie. Just sign it, and once you sign, we will be together forever." In her deep, drunken daze, she just nods wildly, grabs the pen, and sloppily scribbles her name right on the official document that completely ends their entire relationship. Pay attention here. Next up is the mandatory 1-month waiting period for their divorce. Using the excuse of needing some quiet time alone, he moves out of the villa, checks into a serviced apartment, and completely cuts off every single point of contact with her. After sobering up, Luke Van Vie slowly starts realizing something is incredibly wrong with this gentle little trap he set up. She goes absolutely crazy looking for him, calling, texting, running to every single place he might show up, but it is all completely hopeless. The Luke patriarch also makes his move just 1 week before the waiting period ends. He sends people to grab Luke Van Vie right as she tries to storm out of the company, dragging her back to the villa under the guise of resting, but it is basically house arrest. On the actual divorce day, the old man has everything perfectly arranged. He finds a random woman with a body type and hairstyle that looks incredibly similar to Luke Van Vie. With some professional makeup, a pair of dark sunglasses, and a face mask, it becomes almost entirely impossible to tell the fake from the real one. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, he calmly links arms with that fake stand-in, smoothly answering yes to all the staff's standard procedural questions. After officially getting the stamp and holding that red divorce booklet right in his hand, he just feels like the dust has finally settled for good. His entire body feels incredibly light and completely free now. On the other side, Luke Van Vie, still locked up under house arrest in the villa, accidentally overhears the brutal truth from the servant's idle gossip, finding out he is about to leave the country. This absolute lightning strike of news completely breaks her down. She just totally loses her mind. Eng Nuit told me all about it later. In a total fit of rage, she grabbed a study chair, completely smashed through the second-floor bedroom window, and jumped straight down, totally ignoring the shouting guards. Her leg got deeply cut on the landing, getting seriously injured, but she didn't even seem to feel the pain. She limped right out of the villa, snatched a random car key off the street, and completely floored the gas racing like crazy straight toward the airport. Meanwhile, I was just standing at the international departure counter, quietly checking in for my flight out to America. A completely fresh, brand new life was finally unfolding right in front of me. Min Trit, an incredibly desperate, piercing scream suddenly ripped right through all that busy airport noise, echoing straight into my ears. My footsteps just paused for a split second, almost completely unnoticeable, but I never even turned my head. Without a single ounce of hesitation, I just gripped my passport and ticket tightly, walking firmly right toward the airport security gate. Right behind me, LCVN Vi was screaming like a wild animal, her voice totally mixing with the loud shouts of the airport security team trying to stop her. It sounded completely agonizing to hear. I could literally feel her burning stare trying to pierce right through my back. But from start to finish, I absolutely never looked back once. Right as I turned around, The corner of my eye just happened to catch that incredibly arrogant woman who used to look down on absolutely everyone. Pinned down by the security guards, she finally collapsed onto the hard floor, letting out these completely desperate cries, just like a totally cornered animal. Now watch how much things can change. Jump forward to whole years later, right into Silicon Valley, America, up in a stunning penthouse apartment overlooking the entire high-tech district at night. I was happily raising a glass of champagne alongside my incredibly loyal team. We were celebrating our brand new company funding round becoming a huge success, thanks to all that deep industry experience I built up back at the TNHON Group. I had this really sharp, incredibly unique vision for major investments. Add in that massive chunk of initial startup capital, and the new energy tech company I founded took barely 2 years to become an absolute rising star. In the industry, the overall valuation absolutely skyrocketed, grabbing some major attention from all the top experts around. Every now and then, I'd actually catch news about LCVNVI inside my business reports. Word was that after I left, her entire personality took a massive turn. That old gentle vibe of hers completely vanished, entirely replaced by this really dark, icy attitude. She ruled the LC group with an absolute iron fist, exiling both Eng Nuit and Tny Elm straight out of town branches, completely stripping away all their core power just like that. The big partnership between the LC and BCH families also hit a massive wall thanks to her stubborn resistance, eventually crashing down in a really sudden, bitter end. BCH Tny and tried approaching her multiple times, but she coldly kicked him out every single time, without sparing any feelings. It was honestly like she had transformed into a completely different person. She became incredibly decisive and absolutely ruthless in the business world, aggressively expanding the LC family empire much larger than it had ever been before. But everyone around her knew the truth. She never actually smiled for real anymore. Late that night, right after I finally wrapped up a massive overseas video call, this really strange international phone number suddenly popped up on my screen. I went ahead and answered it. The voice on the other end felt pretty familiar, but heavy with all this suppressed anger. It was Eng Nuit. She called me T Min Trit, saying I was absolutely cold and heartless. Her tone completely lost that old careless vibe she used to have, leaving behind nothing but pure exhaustion and some really deep bitterness. I just gave a pretty calm reply, staying totally quiet to let her keep talking. She choked up a bit, saying LCVNVI had been rushed to the hospital with some incredibly severe stomach damage and was currently stuck in a deep coma. The doctor said she hadn't taken care of herself at all for the past 2 years, working herself to the bone and basically drinking alcohol like it was water. Even while completely unconscious, she kept calling out my name. Eng Nuit demanded to know if that moved me even a little bit. She begged me to at least visit her for the sake of our past. But my response came out incredibly flat, without a single emotional ripple. I just told her flat out, "Miss Eng, you've got this all wrong. Madam LC and I finalized our divorce 2 whole years ago, so we have absolutely zero TIs now. Whatever happens to her health is strictly a matter for her family and the doctors to handle. It has literally nothing to do with an ex-husband like me." The phone line went completely dead silent for a long time. Then, this incredibly icy, sarcastic laugh from Eng Nuit finally broke through the quiet. She called out to me T Min Trit. She used to think I was just smart and competitive, but now realized I was completely ice right down to the bone. "You want to know something crazy?" she said. I was literally cut from the exact same cloth as her awful ex-boyfriend. Her voice completely sank into this painful memory, sounding so full of self-mockery. Back in college, she had this boyfriend she was incredibly, deeply in love with. Then, this really poor guy transferred into their class. She felt pretty sorry for him, so she helped him out a few times and even tried finding him some part-time jobs just to cover his living expenses. Sometime later, the university offered up this one incredibly important, massive scholarship spot. It was totally guaranteed to go to her boyfriend, but she felt that poor student needed it way more. So, she pulled a few strings and handed the spot straight to him instead. You can probably guess what happened next, right? Her voice turned incredibly bitter. Her boyfriend didn't say a single word. No arguments, absolutely no explanations. He just quietly applied for a massive full-ride scholarship at some university overseas. Right after sending her one final breakup text, he completely vanished into thin air, entirely walking away and never coming back again. Back then, she thought he was being completely unreasonable. It was just a single scholarship, right? Did he really have to take it that far? She finally gets it now. Guys like T Min Trit are basically made of solid stone from the very beginning. Min Trit quietly listens to her entire confession, his tone staying totally calm. He tells her if there is nothing else, he is hanging up now. He mentions a major meeting to prep for. Without another word, he coldly cuts the call, flipping his phone to silent. Then he casually grabs the documents right off his desk for next week's huge international new energy summit over in Monaco. His gaze is steady and completely relaxed. Flash forward to Monaco, the exact site of the International New Energy Summit that is grabbing the entire world's attention. Right there, stepping up as the brilliant founder and CEO of Key Min Technology, Min Trit now stands facing the absolute top global entrepreneurs and massive investors, confidently sharing his own sharp insights on the future trends of energy development worldwide. Right now, down in the VIP seats, right in the very first row, a slender yet elegant figure sits completely still, like a silent sculpture. It is LCVN Vi. She is wearing a perfectly tailored dark couture gown, looking so much thinner than she did 2 years ago. Her frame feels incredibly fragile now, and yet that heavy, oppressive aura around her is somehow way deeper than before. Her gaze is exactly like an eagle locking onto its prey. From start to finish, she stares intensely at Min Trit on stage, a man who feels both deeply familiar and completely strange to her. Now watch his reaction here. He notices her intense attention, but absolutely refuses to spare her even a single second of a side glance. As his speech wraps up, the entire hall erupts into roaring applause. He gives a polite bow, stepping off the stage to take a quick break at the outdoor balcony setup by the organizers. Almost immediately, she walks right up next to him, completely dropping every bit of her usual stiffness and careful disguises. Right now, LCVN Vi has completely red eyes, looking just like a trapped kid with nowhere left to run, her voice so hoarse it is barely audible. She begs Min Trit for just one more chance to fix her mistakes. The sheer pain hiding deep in her eyes is incredibly thick, refusing to fade as tears are ready to spill. She admits she was so completely wrong back then. Whether it was about the promotion, the whole thing with BCHTNEN, or even all those awful things she actually said to him. She tells him she finally thought it all through and fully admits her own faults. He just keeps a standard polite smile on his face, his tone totally distant. He asks President LC what exactly she means by all these words. He casually points out that the two of them aren't nearly close enough for that anymore. That incredibly light question acts like a razor-sharp knife, instantly shattering every single one of her last remaining psychological defenses into pieces. Her emotions completely explode, letting out a low, desperate kind of sob. She cries out, knowing she was absolute trash for hurting him so deeply, but begging to know why he won't give her just one chance to make up for it. You can feel the tension snapping here. She asks if this exact punishment satisfies him, and slowly, the polite smile on his face completely fades. He calmly looks at this woman he once loved so deeply, yet also ended up hating to his very bones. There is absolutely zero emotion in his eyes, just like he is looking at a random passerby who has nothing to do with his life anymore. He clearly calls out her full name, LCVN Vi. His tone holds absolutely no ups or downs. He tells her that North China regional manager position was probably just a totally meaningless title, some tiny little toy she casually used to easily pacify her own perfect dream lover. But for him, that position was the only real thing that could actually prove his own independent value inside their completely unequal, deeply flawed marriage. It was truly the absolute last straw, keeping up the ridiculously pathetic balance between the two of them. Trust is exactly like a mirror. Once it shatters, it is done. Even if you try your hardest to glue it back, those cracks will stay there forever, never returning to how it originally looked. He just stares at her utterly pale, completely drained face, spelling out the absolute final ending between them word by very careful word. Between her overflowing pity and him, she did not hesitate to completely give up on him, choosing to abandon him over and over again. He asks LCVN Vi just how many chances she actually needs to be satisfied. After saying that, he doesn't bother giving her a single extra look, turning around to walk away. She instinctively tries to chase after him, but two of his bodyguards step up from behind, politely yet firmly blocking her path entirely. Right through his side vision, he watches the tough guards securely hold her back. The final spark of hope in her eyes completely fades away. Looking entirely drained of all strength and soul, she weakly leans against the railing behind her in pure, tragic defeat. After that, Min Trit strides toward the black Maybach waiting by the curb, stepping straight into a brand new future he controls with his own two hands. He once lost a marriage entirely packed with heavy betrayal. But right through that exact brutal experience, he has finally managed to discover a complete, powerful version of himself. Someone who will never, ever turn back for anyone else again. And that is where our story wraps up.